This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. It's been a busy week in business and politics. We got a lot to cover. What better way to wrap up the week than with two of our top-notch analysts? Let's begin with Steve Brawner, who covers politics for us. Steve and I sat down at the end of the week to talk about ballot initiatives, the presidential election, and schools reopening in the midst of the pandemic. Steve, let's talk about the two ballot initiatives that got kicked off of the ballot for November by the Arkansas Supreme Court. Tell me what those two initiatives did, and what was the Supreme Court's ruling?
Well, the Supreme Court's ruling was that the two initiatives failed to get when they certified their signatures that they had used the wrong term. They said that they had acquired a criminal background check instead of passed a criminal background check. Obviously, the initiative thought that was that was the same thing. Not good enough for the Supreme Court, so they're both off. What they would have done, one of them would have created a legislative redistricting commission rather than allow the elected officials to draw their own lines for congressional and state legislative seats. The other would have created a whole new way of electing officials, where we would have all of our candidates would have been the same primaries, Republicans, Democrats, third parties, and independents. The top four would have advanced to the general election, and then you would have ranked your choices. It's called ranked choice voting, and you would rank your choices according to your favorite, who you thought should win. And then there's a process where if you are the last place candidate, that's who you voted for, then your second choice votes would then get your votes. And the whole point of that is to try to give people a chance to vote for somebody besides the two major parties, or at least give them more freedom to vote however they want to vote. But the court has taken them both off the ballot.
All right, so it'll be a little bit looser ballot, or I guess a little bit less crowded ballot this time around. Let's talk about the last 2 weeks have been filled with political conventions at the national level. The Democratic National Convention over a week ago, the Republican National Convention this past week. A lot of red meat for the bases at these conventions. Do you kind of think, I guess this is where my head is kind of at. I want to see if you agree with me. I really feel like the presidential debates are going to be kind of the last deciding factor for voters in this. I'm not sure the conventions are going to necessarily persuade undecided voters one way or the other.
There's so many variables. I don't know what to expect. If there's a major moment, if Vice President Biden performs very poorly, that could have an impact. At the same time, there are so many other things going. It depends on how the pandemic is progressing, what the economy looks like. Typically, the incumbent president loses the first debate because the challenger has been debating in primaries for months, and the president is out of practice. So that could have an impact. But then, Vice President Biden was not a great debater. And President Trump is well accustomed to having the spotlight on him. So I would say there's too many other variables right now, and most folks have already decided how they're going to vote. But if there is that moment when Vice President Biden, or if that Vice President Biden slips, or that President Trump says something that is just completely off the wall, that could have an effect.
Lastly, let's talk about here in Arkansas. Schools reopened this past week. It was a little bit low key. We did get some numbers on Thursday from the governor about 222 infections, if I recall correctly, from his press conference among school children, teachers, and staff. But is it a little too early to kind of see what the comeback to school may mean in terms of the pandemic? Do we need to let another week or two play out before we really see what the trend lines are going to be?
Sure. I think everyone knew when we went into this that that there would be challenges, and that we could all be sending every single student home in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's still too early. So far, we've had part of the first week. However, how the mask wearing and the social distancing is going in the schools, we still don't know how well that's going, and it takes a while for infections to show up. And for illnesses to show up. We still have not had a single Arkansan under the age of 25 who has died from the coronavirus. So we're still waiting to see what happens. Now, if there is one, you'll see a totally different change in the way that you will see parents pulling their kids out of school en masse. But until that happens, we're still having to wait and see. It just is. They've done the best they could, and we just have to wait and see what happens.
That's Steve Brawner with Talk Business and Politics. You can catch his daily political coverage for us at talkbusiness.net. Joining me now to talk business is Paul Gatling from our Northwest Arkansas office. He's the editor of the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. Paul, let's begin with Walmart's latest moves. Walmart's reportedly partnering with Microsoft on a bid to acquire China-based TikTok in the U.S. What do we know about this deal, and do you TikTok?
I do not TikTok. I'm waiting for Doug McMillon to TikTok whenever they announce the completion of said deal, maybe possibly in September. No, joint Microsoft Walmart bid above else would allow TikTok to remain in the U.S. The company is a very popular video sharing app that has been in the news a lot recently because of U.S.-China tensions, and President Donald Trump, in fact, has ordered the company to sell its U.S. assets. I think from a deadline of August 6th, he gave them 45 days to sell the company. And so there have been a number of high-tech companies that have reportedly expressed interest, Oracle among those. So, the Trump deadline will come to pass sometime in mid to late September. So no guarantee who's going to win that bid, and even it's really kind of unclear how this Walmart-Microsoft combo bid would even look like or how it'll be structured. Just know that they have confirmed that they are partnering on a deal. For Walmart, it would seem to be another step in its ongoing strategy to build its e-commerce business. Certainly would give it a larger marketing platform to do that, and wrap all kinds of things in with the video sharing app. So we'll see where it goes. Again, we'll probably find out, mid-September if this is going to be a deal that involves Walmart.
Well, Microsoft isn't the only partnership Walmart's been involved with. It's also had a grocery marketing relationship with Yahoo. How does that work, and what's the goal?
Yeah, it's called Groceries from Walmart, and it's a partnership between Walmart and Verizon Media. Verizon bought Yahoo a couple of years ago, and it allows Yahoo Mail users to buy Walmart products through their inbox. People are shopping online more and more these days, and even for groceries. And so this would seem to be a big opportunity for the world's largest grocery retailer, which is Walmart, to add to that market share. And it would be a big opportunity. Verizon says that there are about 1 in 4 Americans who use Yahoo Mail, and they send 4.5 billion emails every day. So that's a big market share to crack into. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of people who have to buy groceries. So that would help streamline that process for Walmart with those Yahoo Mail users.
And lastly, we reported recently that Walmart plans to keep its corporate personnel at home and off campus until 2021. What does that tell you about the coronavirus and what Walmart thinks about it?
Well, it tells me that Walmart still thinks the safest way to do business right now is to keep its people through home. You mentioned through January 31st, the end of the fiscal year. It tells me that they think that there's still serious health concerns about the coronavirus and getting their people of such large scale back together. It also tells me that we're coming up on 6 months of this remote working and working from home. Certain accommodations they've made, they've figured out how to do it and how to do it effectively. Now, with that said, of course, Walmart would much rather have their people in their buildings and collaborating. Working remotely was never meant to be the Walmart culture that you hear so much about. Collaboration is a big part of that. That's hard to do on Zoom calls and no face-to-face interaction. And from a real estate perspective, they're building their new home office campus. That's a years-long project. There are going to be buildings that have to be raised. People have to be shifted around in this new, 350-acre super footprint where they're building this campus. Walmart has buildings that they've bought, buildings that they've leased that are new construction, where they were going to temporarily house employees that are sitting empty. There's a brand new 90,000 square foot building on Southeast J Street in Bentonville that's just about done. And Walmart has signed a lease to put some of its planning and design teams in there. And They put the Walmart sign on this week, actually, and apparently it'll be sitting empty until January. So I know both sides in that deal would much rather have that building occupied, but for right now, Walmart still apparently thinks that the virus is a serious thing to contend with, and they're comfortable doing business by keeping their people working from home.
All right, Paul Gatling, thanks.